why don't you tell us about our basketball action?
What a crazy week it was in the basketball world. We'll start with the NBA because less action, oddly enough, happened there this week. In the NBA, we had a couple different games. Uh, Both respectively, Oklahoma City smacked Indiana in their home court, and then when we went out to Indiana, Indiana smacked Oklahoma in their home court. Tyrese did not play most of Game 5 out there in Oklahoma. He did have a leg injury. Was a little rough, kind of explained the score and the story there. He did play Game 6, fought through the injury. We do not know quite how bad it was. It didn't seem to be too terrible because they showed out and they ended up winning, taking us to today, which will be Game 7 in that NBA.
The first Game 7 since 2016. That's surprising to me.
Yeah, this has been a really good matchup. Like I said, it's not one that everyone wanted to see, unfortunately, but if you're a basketball fan, this is one that's worth watching. I think both teams very young, very talented. It will be fun to see how long they can continue to grow because with championships comes money, it seems. The NBA culture does seem to be very much in the mindset of once I win one, I can go get the bag. You don't really need more than that, to be honest.
Yeah, especially in this era where it's so hard. Like, there haven't been any sort of dynasties that have gone for multiple.
Well, let me tell you.
Well, Golden State.
Yeah, there's not as many dynasties, so you have to think in the basketball world is still a fairly young, newish sport. Minus, I think, lacrosse, which is probably the newest of the children. Basketball, we're probably only in our 80th or 90th season, so there's only been 80 or 90 championships throughout the whole history of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those, one out of every 90, is a pretty good percentage if you're looking at the birth of all the players that have played.
Sure, and especially if you're talking about just with the current configuration of most of the teams that we're familiar with today have only been around for, like, as we covered last year, about 30 years or so.
Yeah, there is also this mindset that's sort of shifting throughout I'm going to say seemingly all sports except for maybe hockey, where people are not nearly as concerned about winning championships as much as they are getting paid and sort of setting up their life for the rest. But
because people know you can't generally do that with hockey, and so you got to be in it for that trophy.
Yeah, there's a different love involved there for sure. But yeah, it's a different mindset, and maybe it's a conversation for a different day that we have. Speaking of championships and people hunting down, Houston made a trade earlier today. Actually, in fact, Kevin Durant will be part of that new Houston squad. Houston did give up Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick this year, and 5 second-round picks to acquire him. At least that's what's been reported thus far.
Yes, those are the details as we understand them as of recording.
Yep. Another trade that happened earlier this week is we see Desmond Bane from Memphis heading down to Orlando, where they've swapped out Cole Anthony and I think it was like 5 first-round picks in order to acquire him, and maybe a few seconds in there as well.
Didn't KCP move in that trade?
KCP also did move in that trade as well.
That was, I think, kind of Orlando getting that contract off the books largely.
Contract off the books, of it. And him and Desmond Bane played the same position, and they have Gary Harris there, who's also a beloved Denver Nugget, a former beloved Denver Nugget, also in that 2 spot. So now you have a lot of 2 guards sort of running around that don't really need, especially since KCP, Desmond Bane, and Gary Harris all very much different flavors of the same player, sort of different levels. And really, if you're going to have Desmond, who's the clear starter, KCP and Gary Harris become sort of
very expensive to have as bench players.
Yeah, they're expendable at that point.
Yeah, that checks out.
And the craziest news throughout the NBA week is the Buss family is giving up their control of the team, and they are selling a portion of the team, at least majority control, to be the evaluation price of $10 billion.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. I mean, I was kind of blown away when the Broncos sold in the $1 billion range, but I guess that's just the era we live in now, where all of the numbers are going to get higher.
Yeah, the Lakers are the second most valuable team on the planet. I think the Yankees are number 1, if I remember correctly. It's like Yankees, Lakers, and then Cowboys, if I remember correctly, the order.
Interesting. I could see the Dodgers being up in that
Dodgers
conversation
might be,
too.
Dodgers potentially might be 1. I don't remember which one of the.
They'd probably be in the top 5
teams.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is crazy, and it is one of the owners of the Dodgers group that's buying into the Lakers now, right?
Yeah, same dude.
Okay. Because yeah, I saw some other kerfuffle about despite the Dodgers guy buying the team, they're keeping like the management the same. So it's like, why are you spending all the money if you're not taking like control to make those sorts of decisions?
Yeah, everyone is still staying in place. Like Jenny Buss is still going to be like the president and everything like that. Dude just seems to be like acquiring all the sports teams throughout the Los Angeles area. Like he said, he's already the owner of the Dodgers with Magic Johnson, taking control of the Lakers. I'm gonna wish him luck trying to potentially go after. I mean, the Rams would be the team you want in LA, but
Kroenke's not going to let go.
They do have the option to go get the Chargers if they want, but that's a different.
Yeah, that's more of an uphill climb, but that's probably the team you go for.
Yeah, if you want to collect in LA. But that is what has happened this week in the NBA. Like we talked about, we will have a championship later this evening. We'll tell you guys all about it next week. And we'll see how excited or depressed I am depending on what happens. Really, really hoping that Indiana comes through. Really get that first one. Someone's going to come out with their first trophy. So it's going to be exciting regardless if you are an NBA fan and not a hater like me.
Absolutely. But yes, we are hoping for the Pacers to pull this one out.
Yes. In the WNBA, what a week that was. WNBA has had quite a week. Earlier in the week, in fact, almost a week ago, we talked about Caitlin Clark returning and against that undefeated New York team. Bad news for New York is they are no longer undefeated after that game because the Fever came out firing. They were ready to play, ready to go, and really kind of a freight train going through New York, which is odd because they are usually the
wild thing about that one was that the Liberty still like showed up. Like Brianna Stewart and Ionesco both showed up with like 30 plus points each and could not stop the Fever.
No, the Fever are set up to be such a like they can score the ball. Like Caitlin Clark's on that team. Sophie Cunningham, who we'll talk about a little bit later, is on that team. Lexi Hall all shoot threes. Aaliyah Boston's a scorer from what we saw from the Unrivaled League and from her career, I think, over in South Carolina as well. And then I think they have Howard also over there. So a bunch of people who can score. Defending, not sort of their forte, but if they do get going, they're a tough team to stop, as we saw, taking down the former champions and the number one team in the league currently in New York. Doing so with that victory also set them up to be in the Commissioner Cup final, which is set for July 1st. They'll be taking on Minnesota on the opposite end there. Fever had a lot of news going on this week because a few days ago they did get into a little scuffle with the Connecticut Suns, who we've talked about is having a little bit of a rough go this season. Doesn't seem like anything's going to go their way. This game was, in fact, a little bit of a close game, and towards the end there, Caitlin Clark did get kind of poked in the eye and then shoved to the ground.
It was quite the scene. Caught a lot of the sports world's attention. Because I think a lot of it was the poor officiating around the whole kerfuffle.
Well, there's been a lot of complaints about the officiating league-wide in the WNBA. This is not the first time. I mean, Indiana's coach has been begging that they get some calls for Caitlin Clark. Kelsey Plum complained a couple weeks ago because she is getting just absolutely hacked. It's just kind of not great. Everyone is not enjoying the officiating this year in the WNBA for one reason or another. But this one was kind of bad. The refs did not take control. She got shoved. She did get assessed a flagrant foul, and then the person who pushed her down to the ground also got a flagrant foul, which should have been 2 because it was not a basketball play, very targeted, everything that you would consider a flagrant 2. But on the other end, Sophie Cunningham made sure that they got their receiving end because she grabbed the person who poked Caitlin in the eye and also busted her tooth earlier in the season, pretty much in a headlock position, threw her to the ground, and then it was a fight from there on.
Yes, that was a little bit later, like just a couple minutes.
Few minutes later. Yes.
Yeah, with a hard block, as it was announced in live time. That set off a whole nother thing, and that's exactly what happens, and it is kind of a recurring theme. We'll talk about that later on in baseball news of the part of the job of officials, of referees, umpires, whatever their specific name is to be enforcing the rules in such a way that these things don't happen and the violent aspects of the game do not get out of hand, where the players feel like they need to start getting their own vengeance.
Yeah, take care of themselves. You're the one that's supposed to be sort of in control of the game. And we've seen this a number of times throughout many various sports. This one's not a playoff game, which is where it's a little bit more slightly bound to happen because the play, as we talked about last week, is a little bit more loose and free. But this one is just sort of bad blood between the teams. I don't know why the Suns are going after the Fever. Fever are clearly, unfortunately for the Suns, the much, much better team for what the construct that the Suns have going on. But they're going to go out there and just goon it up. I guess that's sort of the team build that they're going to go for.
I think there's got to be just still a bit of that, like, oh, Caitlin Clark's the face of the league, huh? Well, we'll show her up type of.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that after we cover the other NBA news. We'll love to talk about the Dallas Wings here because I like to cover a little bit of all the teams until we get our own. And one day we will have our own here in the Mile High State, and that will be such a good day. But in Dallas, over there in the Wings, Beckers and Ogumawale stopped their 7-game slide, and excellent basketball game from them all around. They kind of put a stomping to the I don't remember which team they played, but there seems to be a problem, I guess, throughout the league when we're talking about sort of, it's really the two stars, Caitlin Clark, unfortunately, and Paige Beckers, both respectively. There does seem to be slight targets, not so much on Paige as much because she's like the silver child.
She's a little bit still in the wake of Caitlin Clark, who was
Caitlin Clark is
unique, once in a generation, sort
is
of.
by and far and large the golden child of the WNBA. In fact, a couple weeks ago when they both were hurt, the WNBA viewership dropped by, I think, in half.
It was a significant, not attendance, but viewership,
which is insane to me.
Yeah,
I understand coming to wanting to watch these incredible talents respectively, and they both are very, very good. But there are also some other incredible people, and I could understand that ruffling a lot of the feathers as we've seen go around. A lot of the I guess I'm going to say the elder states WNBA and veterans in the WNBA before they came along, Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers and a little bit of Angel Reese, did not take so kindly to them because they have so many more eyes on them than I think the elder statesmen.
I think, and that's definitely, I think, in part due to the league, because if anything, the players themselves have had to take it into their own hands to do their own self-promotion. Like, I've learned more NBA or WNBA players through the Unrivaled League than I have ever from watching WNBA content, because WNBA only features Caitlin Clark nowadays and maybe A'ja Wilson if the Aces are involved. And it was wild for A'ja to be the MVP and still be kind of like a secondary note to any Indiana Fever games.
Yeah, so you're right there. I mean, if you're looking just at media, you're going to see a lot of Caitlin Clark, a lot of Caitlin Clark, some A'ja Wilson, some Nafisa. She's on her sort of MVP run right now. Occasionally, you'll see some Brianna and Sabrina. Occasionally,
generally, and that's if you're more talking about like Team USA than W Action at all.
Yeah, you'll see occasionally some highlights from them from the actual Liberty games as they're like they steamroll teams, and then occasionally you'll have Paige Beckers also sprinkled in, and everyone else kind of here and there. Like you said, I think the most coverage I've seen of the WNBA in a long time now was the fight that we had with the Fever and the Suns, which is insane. There's so many other
and that's not the sort of action that you want to be catching the big media attention for if you're a league.
No, it does have the potential to bring in some more eyes, which is
cool,
but
you've got the or all attention is good attention type mindset. But ideally it would be because the game is an excellent product to watch, and not that there's a big kerfuffle then your officials are not doing a great job.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Like we talked about, the WNBA PA is coming in here very, very soon. The contract is very, very, very due to be talked about. So it'll be good and fun and interesting to see how some of these things change. I mean, there's always you have to always have the mindset, I think, as a player, and I hope that bringing in some of these stars, whether it's Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson, whoever it might be, as a golden child or whatever, is bringing more eyes to your your sport in general, which is going to help with the negotiations that you're just about to go through.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how the collective bargaining goes this time around, with the league being in a a sort of boom time in its growth and gaining this, trying to ride this big wave of interest in all these sort of nationally famous rookies, and then but I think it again is the players are going to want more equity and a bigger piece of the pie that they are helping to grow. And on the other hand, they're I think pretty fairly going to need to demand a little bit more work from the W, whether it's from the the head league side or the each individual team getting like more marketing money or something to help more names be a name brand than just the handful you've got so far. That being said, it's easy to say just throw more money at the problem, but MLB would love to find a way to get more of their players to be brand names for sports figures outside of like Shohei and Juan Soto, and like there's a lot of great baseball players, but kind of similar to our hockey thing, not and our discussion last week about basketball players too. It's hard to nail down one guy to be the default across your media marketing, that they are the face of your game. It's a lot more down to individual markets and stuff.